audition for a movie, and, oh, it doesn't.
I want to hear.
Oh, hello.
You're a good moderator.
Thank you. No, mine was a little different. I was auditioning for a movie that Shuki Levy was directing. And I knew martial arts. I was in Taekwondo at the time. And they were asking me to do all these kicks and roundhouse kicks and stuff. And I was doing them, and, you know, Shuki was just smiling. He was having a good time. And I thought I got the part. And then my agent called me and said, "Oh, you didn't get the part." I go, "What?" He said I was doing a great job. He goes, "No, but he does like you for another role, but he wants you to screen test you." I was like, "Whatever screen test is, okay." I just knew that there was something from back in the 50s and 60s, you know. And basically, they just get you dressed up and put makeup on you. And they showed me a few videos of Bandura from the old Japanese footage. And I was like, "Wow, so you want me to be her?" He's like, "Yeah, I think you could do it. You look very similar to her, but you have this different energy, like a younger version." And so I did all this stuff, and I got the job that same day. So it was great. And that's how.
So, but who were you originally auditioning for when you were showing off your martial arts skills?
Well, he had a movie. It was.
Oh, it was auditioning for the movie, so you weren't auditioning for a Power Ranger.
No, not for Power Rangers.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
martial arts movie he was doing about kids who knew martial. Kind of sounds like Power Rangers.
Did it ever?
But it
Do you
wasn't
know if
Power
it ever,
Rangers.
if that movie ever came out? Did it ever get made,
I don't even know.
or did it get shelved in favor of this short-lived
I'm
TV show?
assuming Shuki just got too busy and couldn't do it, but, you know, he was like a composer and a director and producer. I don't know how he had the time to even do another movie on top of that, because Power Rangers at that time, it just blew up. So maybe it was something he wanted to do and couldn't, because
Because nobody expected it to blow up.
yeah, no one expected
The,
Power
the
Rangers to
day
be as
job
big as-
kept him busy. You know,
Right,
that-
right,
that-
right.
That'll happen.
That was
So, how long were you Rita?
So I was Rita throughout all of the 90s. Well, there was, you know, Japanese Rita, Bandura, and then they had no more footage, so they wanted Rita to become Zed's wife. So they had
What?
to, yeah, so they made Rita a younger version where she took the magic potion, she became young. But what some people don't know is that before that, I actually did the older Rita. I would do like far away shots or side profiles. But I was doing her for a little while until I took a potion, and then it was me, my normal face. I didn't have to wear wrinkles and stuff. So it was fun.
And I'm Neil Kaplan. I answered an ad in Dramalog once. I was looking for, yeah, I know, looking for voices for the background for this new show which had been on the air for like a year or two called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I sent in my demo and got called, and it was some of the greatest training I ever had. We'd be standing in a circle, a half circle, and we watched the scene one time through, watch you, you know, flipping and doing your wacky stuff, and then we'd get in there and it's like, okay, go in order. When you see somebody come on screen, you take the voice, you voice them, you know.
You got to ad-lib and all that.
We chased it.
That is so cool.
wow.
Anytime we did background stuff, there was never anything written.
Wow.
There was never anything written. You know, it was only when we had dialogue villains, when I was like,
That is
you know,
awesome.
Gold Beak Monster or Dialobolico or anything like that. Otherwise, it was on the fly, and it was great. You know, and it was funny because I did a video game recently, and it was localization. So I was chasing this scene, and I got it in 2 takes, and the guy was like, "That's really good." I said, I was trained by the Power Rangers. Come on, man.
See?
I know what's going on.
Good.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
You know. So and then doing a lot of the background, and one of my favorite memories was a couple of years ago. The Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movie was on HBO, and I'm watching it, and I'm thinking to myself, that would have been fun to work on. and then I hear myself go, and I go, oh right, that was fun to work on. You know, when that's what you do, is just go, you don't remember episodes, okay? You don't remember seasons. Yeah, and then I started auditioning for like the villain of the week, and I booked that, and finally I became Dialobolico, and then Gluto was my swan song with Power Rangers.
Wow.
This is the point in time when you guys raise your hands because you've got questions for either one of the four of us or just about Power Rangers in general, at which point we'll either answer with actual knowledge or we'll make up a really fun
Totally make
answer.
it up.
Yeah, totally. 'Cause you gotta remember this
It's
is
funner
like
that way.
20 some odd years ago. Is that an actual hand or are you playing at a hand? Okay,
All right.
go for it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, see, here's the thing. There's this place called England,
England.
and every year they do a new season. They call it a new series.
What?
So Star Trek, you know, Deep Space Nine has 7 series, according to them.
Wow.
I don't
Oh, so it's
know.
backwards.
Well, they just call it that.
They call
You know, basically with Power Rangers, what happened, my understanding, and you guys correct me if you've heard anything else, but that first group of Power Rangers, they wanted to pay them very little. And so
very little.
they kind of would come back and they'd have popularity and they kind of said, hey, we're popular, we want more money. And they made the movie and they were popular and, you know, some people asked for more money and they got more money and the folks at the top basically said, you know, I got a kooky idea. Because the Power Rangers are basically, it's about this general thing that they do. So maybe if we have different Power Rangers every year, we don't have anybody becoming so famous that we have to pay them more money. And that's kind of how that happens. So Power Rangers is about this group of mystical teenagers
Underpaid
with
superheroes.
superpowers,
Underpaid superheroes.
you know? And so in different iterations, it's technically Power Rangers, but each season is like a new story.
Hi, I'm Michael
Okay.
Copon, and I'm an underpaid superhero.
In real life,
That's
yeah,
what
you
you're
are.
saying, yes.
You're a superhero and not paid
That's a
enough.
worker.
But it's like, there are shows called anthologies, like Twilight Zone, where every single episode you see is different, where you see different actors, different characters, it's a whole new story. But it's got the same style, so that's called one series. That's Twilight Zone, right? So it's a matter of each season, all of those stories are grouped together. Think of it that way. Okay? But you do make an excellent point, though. How is it the same show if it's a different show every year, right? You, sir, need to be in charge of Hollywood. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, please.
Does anybody have a better, another
That's all
answer?
very good answer.
Okay.
Very
I've
good.
heard many versions, but that's a
Yeah, we're gonna go with that one.
Okay, cool, all right. Yes? That's a good question. For you guys who did scenes, she's wondering, how long did it take you to film them?
We would film, well, let's say, like, typically in other TV shows, you would spend about a week to film one episode. We would do about three episodes a week. So, and how they would break it down is we would get like 3 scripts every week, and they would shoot it out of order. We had to shoot, we might use the same, like, we might use this room right here. Let's say we're shooting episode 1, there's a scene here, and then they redress it, and then episode 3, there's a different scene in the same room, right? So since we're here, they're gonna shoot whatever's gonna happen in this various episodes. So technically, that's the best way to look at it. It was a very aggressive show. They shot a lot of episodes a week. So, yeah, so.
I remember they would shoot a lot of episodes and they'd have two different stages where.
Yeah, they would have that in two different units too, so that
Yeah,
means it's
units,
almost like having
exactly.
two production teams.
So like you're shooting in Angel Grove, a high school, and then you're shooting on the moon, like it's on the same day, but
Yeah.
different stages.
And sometimes they would send me, so 2 units is like, it's like almost having 2 movie crews. So sometimes I would go from one unit that was shooting episode 1, page 40, and then I would finish that scene and then my character would go get driven to another location where I was doing episode 3, page 12, you know. So, but, and then if you ever saw our movies on VHS, what they did is sometimes they took 3 episodes and made that a
Michael.
quote unquote movie.
Michael, there are children here. You say VHS, they won't know what
You know what VHS?
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
They'll sit there and go,
Just say on video,
video.
whatever video thing you understand.
before
Remember the
Netflix.
Walkman?
VHS was like this thing, like renting something from iTunes, okay?
It was like Redbox,
But
but
different.
the bigger
It
DVDs.
was like a Walkman.
It was like a big-
It was heavier.
The DVD looked like
Don't
this.
tell them it's a Walkman, you're not making it any better.
Now you're using an old reference to define an old reference.
No, I totally forgot about
Set,
it.
like
I
a-
just-
Let me explain an old reference by bringing up an older reference. It's like an 8-track tape, but on 1 track. Anyway, so it's like a VHS tape. Uh-oh, we lost him.
Yeah.
Rats. Hey, I'm just really impressed that with Peter Cullen doing a panel, we got this many people in a room.
Yeah,
So
no kidding.
thank you for coming to this panel. But Michael, you were saying it was like a VHS.
Like a VHS.
Okay, when we would do deep movies. How do you say this? in
Oh
modern day-
crap, I just reminded him when Peter Cullen was in the other room. It's like, oh shoot, we're here?
We're here with the other Optimus Prime.
We're here with Optimus number 4. Wait, we got number 1 in the other room. So anyway, it's like a separate movie.
Yeah, basically. And to answer your question, about 3 episodes a week.
Let's go with that.
Well, Neo, now when you were doing stunt scenes, because obviously, you know, it wasn't a matter of remembering dialogue, how long would it take you guys to film one fight scene?
Well, we were constantly filming fights, so like.
Well,
if
for
it-
the show.
If it was like putty fights against rangers, sometimes we were literally just shooting putty fights against rangers that had nothing to do with any episode. They would just figure out where the hell.
Raw
they were gonna
footage,
edit
they would just get the raw
it. It was
footage.
just footage
Right.
to be edited into other episodes.
Well, but you know why that works? That's because you had a consistent villain all the way through,
Right.
and then you'd have the consistent, you know, you get the consistent, right. you
Or
get
there
the-
would be like the scenes where the rangers are out of costume. On Mighty Morphin, the rangers out of costume did a lot of stunt work.
And to answer your hourly question, sometimes it would work as 18 hours.
18 hours.
And you have to double check your time in and your time out, because the really cool guy that signed you out would make up a time that wasn't the right time, so they don't get to pay you more money. So you'd have to be like, no, I was here at 5 and I'm leaving at now, 3 in the morning.
And then they change it back up.
So, yeah.
So, and then the park scenes, because the Power Rangers were always getting jumped in the park, Angel Grove Park. Out of costume Power Rangers, every day got jumped in the park.
No,
So-
lots of rocks.
Yes, exactly, so they would just shoot like days of that.
Yeah.
Because, and it'd be like, okay, that's one fight, and what episode's that, it doesn't matter, they would just shoot constantly. Because those were the days those actors were gonna be there. So
Yeah.
today we're gonna jump Kimberly, tomorrow we're gonna jump Austin, or Jason, it's like, and that's how that worked. And then sometimes I was actually on the moon palette set with her, and then
Yeah.
that was just standing around being a putty. Because I
Nothing much
wasn't
else
the
to
wedding
do on the
episode,
moon.
I do remember the wedding episode, yeah.
There's a lot of putties.
The putty that Rita hits with it.
Putty's the monster.
Because Rita comes up and like smacks a putty with her wand.
Was that what you
Yeah,
did?
it was me. And I didn't know, that was the fun, because those were fun days, because you can't see out of that mask and you can't hear anything. So,
Yeah.
so it's
Just
just
sit
like
there
at
and
some
say,
point,
"Fuck."
somebody's gonna like, and you just have to react when it happens. Which, man, yeah.
back in the old days of Hollywood of
Back
walk it off.
Just, oh yeah, that was the,
Back into 8-track days.
yeah,
Yeah,
back when we
exactly.
were using VHS.
Do you have any other questions?
They were actually shooting on.
Yes.
What was the hardest thing to do while filming?
You go first.
Stay awake.
Oh, man, the hardest thing to do while filming was wearing those really tight clothes and after you've eaten craft service, which is
Oh, gosh.
pretty much being able to have, like, walk into a 7-Eleven, eat anything for free, because Power Rangers would literally have everything that you can imagine. Every candy bar, every chip, everything. And when you're a kid, it was when your mom didn't buy name brand cereal, like, I went to town. Like, literally, I remember they sized me and made my Time Force suit was made out of pleather, and like, there was no room to like grow weight at all. And the first 3 weeks, I was just eating. And the first time I had to put my Time Force suit on, it would not go up my thigh.
Oh, my gosh.
And the wardrobe department was like, Michael, what have you been eating? And I was like just 4 or 5 Snickers a day, and like,
He would just point at the craft services truck and say,
they're like, Mike, we only made one suit, so they literally had to rip the back of the scene so I could like
Wow.
shoot that scene. And luckily, I didn't have like 2 weeks till I had to wear that Time Force, pleather outfit against the. It didn't stretch. It wasn't a stretchy material, so they're like, Mike, you better lose this weight. So literally, the hardest part was just turning down the free food.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, because then you would also have sugar crashes. I was 18 years old, so I'm like,
You gotta eat.
Twizzlers, Twinkies, they literally had everything you can imagine.
And our days were so long, so they had everything.
Yes, you're just bored. You're waiting 18-hour days. You're like, if you're not shooting that moment, you're eating.
Yeah.
And it's really tough.
I don't want to be rude, but I'm just going to throw this out there. It was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. What do you think the craft services were?
Not that good.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be junk food and grilled cheese and, it's gonna be kid food. It's gonna be.
I typically brought my own food because
No, they had
Did they?
all
We
the
were out in the
good-
desert.
they had
On our
good
season.
food.
Well, on our season, I don't know about y'all, but they literally, they bumped it up, I think. I don't know what it was.
Okay,
'cause
so maybe when it went
Because you
with
guys were
SAG.
union.
we would have,
Contract.
I've never been on a set, to this day, I've been on, even Scorpion King, which was like a $10 million budget, still, Power Rangers had the best lunches. We would have king crab legs, lobster, ribeye steaks. It was I think because they paid us so cheap, they're like, let's feed them good, man?
Or that's where the execs were visiting.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause that's what they wanted.
Yeah, maybe that's what it, but to this day, I remember having lobster at least once, or king crab legs at least once a week, something that you normally wouldn't get on normal movie sets.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry for you guys.
Sorry
I
for
mean,
you being on the awesome
Now,
Power
did you
Rangers
have a
show.
question over there?
Because you were union.
Because I think you
were
had your hand up. Yes.
show, man. Yeah, we were on the union. We were not on the union show.
So I was wondering, how has Power Ranger changed you or transformed you as the person you are?
Oh, actually, I have a good
Yeah.
answer.
You have pictures. You have pictures of
You have
you
headshots
before the
now.
uniform and then in the uniform. So that's
well,
always changed.
well, no, I want
you.
to talk about how it's changed me in more emotionally for my career.
First job.
It kind of set a standard for me, because let's say if I started off in horror movies or something like that, I kind of got known for that. I'd probably more I could have been more that guy who's flicking off the camera in every picture or something like that. But for me, because that started my career at this type of level of always dealing with kids and kids following me and being just being a leader, a positive role model.
Your introduction thrust you into the role.
Yeah,
of
it did.
role model right
So
away.
that's carried me into every role and decisions I've done, even in Instagram today, because I know I have a Power Ranger fan base, and also sometimes even kids that still follow me from One Tree Hill. I still, because of Netflix, I have 14, 15-year-old girls that still watch, Bring It On and all this stuff now. So it's kind of I've always been conscious of what I'm posting and how I'm being portrayed in the social media world. So I think I owe that to Power Rangers too. It kind of really set a really good mark for me as a role model.
Wow.
Okay, no, but that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you came in, and I like how you framed it with, if it would have started in horror
Yeah.
films, because around that time,
Yeah.
that would have made perfect sense for that to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing something that's R-rated, there's a lot of blood, there's gore, the energy on the set, who it's directed toward is completely different.
Because if I would've had that and then went into something like Power Rangers, it would've been weird. You almost might not have been casted for something positive if you have like too much, like in what that industry might call like too much negative tone. So it really just set a different tone for me, for my career, to where I feel like now,
It's just,
because I'm not gonna lie, there was a time in my mid-20s that I was trying to go more darker with that Killer Holiday film where I played a serial killer. It's the first film I produced because I had that kind of itch to like, I wanna do this. But then in that, I realized, you know what, it's kind of like The Rock. The Rock's a good example. He was that wrestler, he's kind of built that thing, and even though he had that jabroni, you know, he's got that, if you smell with The Rock, he's got that whole personality thing going. But he now is, you know, he's carried that into his career, and now he's that hero kind of icon guy. And he carries that Rock personality now for the rest of his career. He's like, he owns that thing, you know, he owns that.
but it doesn't get in the way of him playing darker roles.
No, it doesn't.
Because, whereas conversely, I think you're right, if he took on that dark energy more into his soul and to who he is, that may stand in the way of playing good, you know, the good heroic characters.
Yeah.
But the reverse, I don't think we have a lot of problems seeing somebody whose persona we perceive as a kind person, a giving person, but we're perfectly okay with seeing them play a villainous character.
Yeah.
So, and I think you're right, because you were a young man at the time and still kind of really developing who you were becoming as an adult, you mix that in with the feeling of responsibility of coming into a franchise that has young fans, you know, it makes perfect sense,
Yeah.
you know. What about you? And for the two of you?
That answer's so good.
No. Here's what you do, Neo. You give us the lousy answer and just highlight his brilliant
That's
answer
why
by
I was
comparison.
cast as a villain, I don't know.
But what did it do for you positively? How did it change your artistic track?
For me, I think because I was a young woman at the time, it helped me have more confidence, because Rita was like, she ruled everyone. She's like telling all these monsters and putties and Power Rangers, you know, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna get you, but she never stopped, she kept going. So she was a great character to start off with, because she was like the ultimate, you know, female power, you know, girl power, so. Yeah, she's a good character to play for being a young woman.
I guess she would pass the Bechdel test, because she wasn't really anybody's girlfriend ever.
Oh,
She
no,
was just
no. Even though she
Empress Rita.
married a Zed, she was still,
Yeah, but that was
Well,
a long way down.
Yeah, that was
She had
fine,
already
right?
been established as a character, so.
yeah, she was a
That was
great role model as far as a character to play and have so much power when you're a young woman, because, you know, it's hard when you're in that business at that age, you know, it's a tough situation.
Neo, how did being a stunt performer inform your writing career?
Oh, well,
I'll bet you haven't thought about
I
that.
hadn't really thought about that.
Because now I want you
I mean,
to.
it definitely informed me after Power Rangers. I kind of stopped acting and went to college and became an English major. So maybe, maybe
Okay.
that's, you know,
But
the
do
thing.
you
But I
think
mean,
but do you think that there was anything that you learned on set about story construction, or about what stories appealed to you, which basically were the little seeds that got implanted, and you know?
I mean, I always enjoyed watching the show. So to me, it was just what I think. Power Rangers. I mean, I don't know. I think Power Rangers, like, what I liked about it the best, and I think, is that it was like, it's a male and female team, and it was never about, like, the boy was more powerful than the girl, you know? It didn't matter. Everybody was on the team, and when it was go time, they'd win, you know? And a lot of shows didn't do that, you know? Be like, oh, the girls stay back at the base, or, you know, whatever, stay back, we'll take care of this, you know?
Yeah.
Power Rangers was just, they were a team, they were a unit, everybody went, and I think that's what I learned the most from Power Rangers, because in my writing, even my red writing books and stuff, you know?
You know, I
That's
never
right,
even
right along.
really thought of that.
So-
Yeah, I even, to add on that too, I was a kid when I watched Power Rangers too, so I actually tell Cardenas all the time. I went to the theater at 11 years old and watched Steve Cardenas. And I watched the movie and I drew pictures of Power Rangers. But for me, so it was so, I identified with the original Red Ranger, Austin St. John, because I felt like I looked very similar to him, like an Indian or, I don't know what ethnicity he is, but he's got an ethnic look. For me, I got to look at someone on TV and was like, oh, I kind of resemble him. And my friend, my friend Brandon, he's a little black kid that I grew up with. He looked at Walter was like a superhero, so he had someone to relate to. And then my Filipino family, some of my cousins look more, Asian, so they looked at Trini. So it was like something that was so multicultural. And my sister's blonde hair, blue eyes, because I'm half white. So it's like, it was just something that all of us could watch and relate to. It's like, it didn't matter what race you were, what color, we all came together, we were all a team. And I felt like that's like another meaning to where it just didn't matter whether you're a boy or girl, what race you were, we were all in it to win this thing and work together as a team. So it had a lot of undertones that were like really powerful meanings.
Yeah, and I think in my writing that I probably learned a lot because that's how I write my characters. It doesn't matter what they are. It's like they're on the team, they go. They fight. Nobody's like, oh, you're the girl, stay back. Oh, you're the whatever, just stay back. It's like we all go, we all fight. So until we win, and that's definitely something from Power Rangers. So.
Nice. Do we have any? I think we have time for a couple more questions. If anybody has any, yes, sir.
Are you gonna be here tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the easiest question.
There you go. Yes, sir.
Would any of you return to if there's any chance to come back, maybe as their
Well, Michael,
Rita?
you have come back, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I have not.
I have not come back, but I would. At first I was afraid to. The first time they asked me to come back, I was afraid to because, obviously I was still doing SAG movies, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get kicked out of the union. And then I became a producer and realized, oh, the union sucks. No, I'm just kidding. Well, you learn to work around it and stuff like that as a producer in the independent world. You're like, oh man, this makes it really hard for me as an independent producer. But now I'm doing bigger budgets though, I like the union in some cases too. So it just depends on what situation you're in. But to answer your question, yes, I would totally go back and find a way, however, to make it happen.
And he was asking about Rita, if they brought Rita
Oh,
back
yeah.
to the storyline.
Oh, yeah, I said, yeah, absolutely. She was so much fun to play. And just to maybe revamp her a little would probably be a good thing too.
I mean, yeah, of course, we're actors. We all want to work, right?
I know I've certainly sent out a tweet or two mentioning, I like how you guys bring the Power Rangers back. How about bringing back some classic villains?
Yeah.
I would love to. I would certainly love to, do some voices on the new show. It's been a long time, but certainly a universe I'd be happy to visit again. Well, like Neo said, I mean, we're guns for hire, so hire us. Do we have any other questions? Yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
Cool, we got quite a few.
Okay, so last month we got something that Power Rangers fans have always been asking for, which is a real fighting game in Battle for the Grid, and it has a lot of love for the franchise. So my question is, would you guys like to see a character you portrayed in that game, and if they were added, would you come back to do voice work?
Yes.
Ooh, I like
Yes.
that.
Yes. And yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will answer the first part. Would I want to see the character come back? Yes, if I'm playing it. I have no interest, as much as talented as Travis Willingham might be, I don't want to hear his Dialobolico. So I'm just saying,
No, that was
the answer, the second answer depends on the first answer depends on the second answer, so. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'd say each of you right now are leaders of the Power Ranger team. Name who would you want on your team?
Oh my God.
Oh man, that's hard, man.
Even if they weren't Power Rangers.
Well, Michael would have to be my Blue Ranger because
Heck yeah.
we drank snakehead soup
Yeah, we
together.
did, we
So
did,
you know,
right.
we gotta stick together that way. But then I got a problem because you know some of my favorites. I got 2 pinks and 2 yellows who are you know like longtime friends. Don't make me choose between Nakia and Sasha. That's just wrong, brother. And between Catherine and Allison, please don't make me do that.
I think it just would be like everyone, just like, I think what everyone wants to see. Did you guys see that trailer I did, like the Avengers? team up thing? The Power, that's what we really want. I did that just for fun, but like an Avengers Power Ranger thing would be so cool. Like everyone comes back, everyone.
Oh, yeah. Are you
Like,
gonna make that
don't,
movie?
at this point, it's kind of like the thing where you can't just cut anyone out at this point. They need to bring all of us back.
Michael, you need to produce that.
I try, I would love
Maybe
to.
House of Buzz now.
Right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun?
I don't know.
Bring everyone back, that'd be
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone in particular that you would want?
Oh, goodness. I don't know, there's so many good ones. Let's say whoever was evil, I'd have them on the evil Power Rangers team.
The Evil Rangers, yes.
Yeah, I think that could work.
Yeah, exactly. There was the Evil Rangers where a bunch of putties turned into Rangers
Yep.
episode. Yeah, that was fun. Oh my God, we did that.
Then
And you had a
Yeah,
question.
we had 2 more.
As a preschool teacher, I see my students come in all the time and they're still playing Power Rangers
Yes.
like I did, you know, over 25 years ago. Do you think that it would get that big and stay that big for this long?
Nobody.
No.
Nobody other than maybe Heim Savant thought that.
Back in,
I don't even think he thought that.
Somehow he always believed, but I don't know if he
No,
believed in
'cause-
25 years, so.
No, because he even sold it.
He sold it.
He sold it the
Right.
season after mine.
Right.
And then he bought it
And
back.
they bought it back, 'cause,
well, I
yeah.
remember
I-
back
to
in
be
when
honest-
it
Sold it again.
first
During my season,
started.
it wasn't as big, so I thought that,
It wasn't, I thought it was big back then.
not.
It was tapering
I
off.
was tapering off. It was to the point
Oh,
where,
tapering off. Oh,
it was to the point where,
I thought-
like, to be honest, like, my agent didn't, after Power Rangers, when I had those auditions, Power Rangers wasn't even on my resume. Like, to the point where, like, so they were, like, saying that, I don't know why they decided to do that, but I don't know if that helped or hurt me. But at the time, they were just like, you know, just, and then social media came back out, and it was like, it blew this thing out the water, to where a lot of us there's a lot of Rangers who were just blowing up from social media. It's really cool.
I remember back in 93, 94, when I was first started to film, first couple of episodes, I was like, I still didn't really know how popular Power Rangers was, but then maybe about the 3rd time filming, we had these crowds just waiting to meet everybody. And I was like, what is this? And then, you know, then they start doing appearances and.
Right, the tour, I remember the tour.
And I remember all the moms, there was like Moms Against Power Rangers, or so violent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was crazy.
When I was a kid, everyone knew about Power Rangers. It was like,
Yeah.
that's when, by the time I became a Ranger, I was literally like, this is still out there? Like, that was me. Like, I was like, it still exists? I thought after Turbo it was done.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
know.
you know.
I just can't believe the moms were just like, no, Power Rangers are
Well, it's
evil.
because kids
they're
were all
bad."
beating each other up on the playground and stuff, so,
Yeah.
you know, it was all.
But it's
different things.
it's amazing that it's still alive. I think it's a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
And it's literally brought us together. It's like not just the Rangers, but the villains, everyone that's been a part of this whole family has brought us all together at these cons, and I think it's so cool. We're like our own little crew.
But,
It
well,
really-
that's why, you know.
We are.
Well, that's why, you know, Morphicon gets really good attendance, because it's like a reunion for us every 2 years, and because they're not asking all the time, it's like, yeah, I'll go out and see everybody again, that'll be
Huge
fun.
family reunion.
It really, it's more than
Where
just
else
a
are you gonna
shit.
see all the hundreds and hundreds of actors that were on Power Rangers?
And it's different,
So
because I've
many.
been on, like, let's say when I've done like a One Tree Hill reunion where they bring back, and even that went 9 seasons, it's still not the family feel of like Power Rangers. It's like when I do Power Ranger reunion, it's like the villains, the Power Rangers, and it's like this huge family. It's such a cool thing.
Sir, in the orange shirt, you had a question.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Ooh.
You might recognize me. My name is Jonathan Patterson, and I wanted to go ask because there is a comic that actually had a live trailer where one of the Power Rangers, aka the Green Power Ranger, Tommy,
Yes.
he reprised his role for that Shattered Grid thing. Now,
Yes.
if that comic was ever what I'm trying to say is, if that comic was ever adapted, and, they actually pretty much, they get all the Power Rangers back and basically, it would be great if you guys got to reprise the roles and stuff. Would you be able to reprise?
Yeah.
I would hope so. I
Absolutely.
mean, sure.
That would be fun.
It all depends on the right holders and them allowing us
I
to
mean,
do.
if Shattered Grid happens, I don't know, maybe it's an animated movie, but with Hasbro owning it now, I don't know if it'll be a live action thing. It's pretty dark.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy gets killed,
Spoiler!
Oh, I mean, come on, it was right on the cover of the issue. I mean, it was on the cover.
Great, now I'm not reading it.
Dude, that's a Richard move.
But now
That's
you
all
get
I'm
to
gonna
find
say.
out how he got killed, and if he's coming
You're
back.
making it worse! Somebody rescue Neo and ask us a question. You have a question? Yes.
What do you think about a PRCU, Power Rangers Cinematic Universe, like the Marvel Cinematic?
Yes.
Oh.
We wanna
How
see
cool
it.
would that be?
They're
I
kind.
support this kid 100%.
I like that. Call Hasbro and tell them to do it.
Well, if it's anything like the last one and it only involves two
Don't tell
people
me
from
about
the
the last one. I
show.
didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. I haven't seen it.
She hasn't seen it.
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers.
All right, last question, sir. Make it a good one.
I went to the Power Morphicon
Yes.
that year.
We were there.
Which year?
That year,
That year, there's been a lot of that years.
What's that?
Anaheim?
Anaheim.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
What do you-
that's,
Yeah, last year. Would you guys recommend a bigger venue? Because it felt a little crowded, and I feel like there's still a couple of Rangers missing from other
I mean,
seasons.
Scott
that was
definitely
bigger
did
than
not
the one in
expect that many.
Pasadena, though.
Honestly, they didn't
They
expect
didn't
it to be
expect
that
that
big.
turnout. Nobody did.
Yeah.
Even Scott Zillner, who
That
runs
was,
it, sidelined.
that was actually bigger than,
Than
the Pasadena.
much.
Yeah.
So-
So did you go to
so-
Pasadena?
So Pasadena, not this last year, but 2 years ago,
Yeah.
it had roughly about 7,000 attendance. This was over 20,000 people. So in
It was
terms
packed. It
of
was
of just dedicated Power Ranger fans. So it was more than expected.
It was.
I
So
think
I'm
that
sure
they
Scott
didn't
will handle it.
realize, that, so.
Scott Zillner's good. He does good work. He'll
But you know
handle
what, crowded's good.
it. Crowded is good. We
I
like
mean,
it.
you don't wanna be at a party where it's like
But
too
they had
big
like
of a
a-
place and then everyone, it looks like no one's
They
there.
had an hours long line.
Like
to
if
get
we
their
were,
passes.
if this audience
Hours.
was in that big room right now, it would really look small.
Yeah.
Right now, we feel a little, it's like, wow, this is semi-packed.
Did you go to the Angel Grove prom?
I did.
Yeah, you went?
I did. I was there.
That
It was fun.
We enjoyed it.
You know, if it's
It
too
was
big, we
great.
can always like just put Johnny and JD up over in the building and that'll
All
kind
right,
of.
guys, I've been.
He's gotta go,
I have to
man.
go to the ladies' room.
Oh.
Enjoy yourself.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for keeping the Power Ranger love alive. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us, and we'll all be back tomorrow.